or Chaim, Siman Aleph, we're up to Seif Het. Maran writes, En Omrin Hazmirot Bimrutza, Ki'im Benachat. This is one of the most popular Seifim in Shulchan Aruch. Everyone loves to read this because it's short and very much meaningful. You cannot say Zmirot of Sukkot Zimra fast. You have to say it Benachat, you have to say it calm and with a song, Aboher B'Shirei Zimra, the brachad at the end that we say in Ishtabach, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses B'Shirei Zimra in the songs of David HaMelech, so it should be said properly and not in a rush, in a hurry. And this is again brought in the Rishonim, is for Orchot Chaim. Maran brings this in Bet Yosef, and the Kaf HaChaim writes over here in Seif Katan Memvav. It's kedai to actually read it inside. The Kaf HaChaim writes, it's dai busha, it's enough of embarrassment that we don't know all the sodot, all the secrets and the mystical depth that there is in every word of Tefillah. He says every word of the Sukkot Zimra contains in it tremendous truckloads of sodot and secrets and depth and beauty. And it says it's bad enough that we don't understand those levels. At least we should say it properly. That it should not be a disgrace. It should be as beautiful as possible in the way that we could do it. Now, in Ruach Chaim, Rabbi Chaim Palaji writes that there are so many mekatregim, there are so many kochot tum'ah, negative powers that are stopping the tefillah. As we mentioned this before in Siman, beforehand when we started Sukkot Zimra, we mentioned this. Later on also we're going to discuss this again in the name of the Rabbah and Siman Nun Daled and others. But he writes, Rabbi Chaim Palaji says, when you do Sukkot Zimra, Zimra is not just song, but also lezamir. It means to cut off, to weed out. You're trying to clear the path, so to speak, of the tefillah by weeding out and clearing off these kochot tum'ah. So it says once you do that, you better do it right. Because if you don't do it with kavanah, then you're starting a fight with this kochot tum'ah, you're starting a fight with the mekatragim, but you're not completely getting rid of them. It becomes worse. They are going to now being antagonists more, and it would have been better not to do it altogether, to do it not right, says the Kaf HaChaim, says the Ruach Chaim, Rabbi Chaim Palaji. It's interesting to note that the Kaf HaChaim says that someone that doesn't know how to read well, and new Bal Tshuva, or someone that has recently started to learn, and they do daven tefillah, they have mistakes, they have this. It says the Kaf HaChaim, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu hears that tefillah, the person is doing their best, they're trying their best. It's like songs for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's tremendous. In the eyes of Hashem, it is considered like a real lofty level. It's interesting to note that Sefer Leket, there's a Sefer called Leket Katzir. He brings the story from this Amaretz that was trying to do tefillah with all of his heart, and it was maleh ta'uyot, it was filled with mistakes. And the rabbi hears him say, he says, wow, what kind of davening is that? You're making 1,000 mistakes. Let me sit and teach you. He teaches him, and this guy was embarrassed, whatever it is, but he taught him to do it correct, but now he was so concerned to do it correct that, he took the whole life out of the tefillah. He was no longer davening with heart and with kavanah. I was just concerned now. And Eliyahu Navi comes to this rabbi. He says, you should know that the words of tefillah that this person had prior to you teaching him, it was even more beloved to HaKadosh Baruch Hu than it is right now. Because he was coming from a pure heart. He was coming from someone that didn't know much. But again, he offered his heart to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, something to be mindful and careful, that sometimes perhaps even the heart and the kavanah is more important than the technicality of the tefillah. We're not suggesting chas v'shalom that the person should not be careful in saying it properly. Of course, we have to learn, we have to do it properly, but it's just emphasizing how important it is that the person should put really their heart into it as well. Now, Chomadia writes that even though that you said it without kavanah, he said some part of Pesukot is without kavanah, you don't have to go back and say it again, as long as you said it properly, is um, it is fine, but he says it is proper if you have time. It's proper to go back and try to say the Psukat Zibra with proper intent. It says the Mishna Berurah. The reason we don't want to do it fast is because we don't want to skip any words and to swallow it up. Sometimes you see, I think to myself sometimes when someone is a Hazan and is going so fast, sometimes if you record them and then you listen to the recording on a 0.5 speed, you'll realize that a lot of words are not being said properly. They're kind of like swallowed in between saying the catching up to the speed, and that's of course not the proper. That's exactly the chashash shelo yavliem, that it should not be swallowed up. You should say the words as though you're counting money, you're counting margaliot. Like, if you would be counting money, you're not just do it like that because you're worried that maybe you're going to give 2 instead of 1 and you're going to swallow one inside the other one. Every one of them counts because every one is precious. If you would be counting diamonds, you would be like counting them 10 times, and every one you make sure is 1 only, and so on and so forth. So this is also when you have value and each word is precious, you would be doing it properly in that manner. In Sefer Hasidim, he writes, if you don't have enough clothing, people were, the Gemara talks about Amoraim who had only one pair of clothing between themselves and their rabbits. And there's some people, tremendous aniyut. If a person doesn't have warm enough of the clothing to go out in the cold of the winter, and therefore is going to not be able to daven b'kavanah in the cold, says better he daven at home in the warmth, with nahat, with calm and with composure. Says Mishna Berurah later on in Siman Nun Bet, we're going to have some questions on this. It says you must say that it's a case that if you would go to shul, it's so cold that you can't daven Shemona Esrei properly. So therefore, better to do it at home, benahat, with proper kavanah and proper, composure, than do it in a situation that he is freezing and is chattering and he can't properly have his mind. It says Maran in Seif Tet, Mizmor LeTodah, Yesh Lo Umrah Benegina. The Mizmor LeTodah, the Gemara says, all of the shirim, everything is going to be nitpatel in future aside from Mizmor LeTodah. A tremendous thing, right? Also, right? You have to understand, Mizmor LeTodah is for Korban Todah that they used to bring. We thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's right after the Baruch Shamar, and it's a tremendous, tremendous shevach to Hashem. And therefore, Yesh Lo Umrah Benigina. You should sing it. You should say it in a tune, in a nice way. But even if you don't know the tune and you can't sing, but at least to say it with intent, try to understand the meaning. If you don't understand the meaning in Hebrew, take a translated Sidur to try to pay attention. All of the songs in future are going to be nullified, aside from Mizmor LeTodah, because again, that is the essence of our avodah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to be thankful. We call Yehudim also because even though that Yehuda was just one of the Shvatim, but Hapa Modeh Hashem, what Leah Imenu said, that this time I thank Hashem, that language of Hoda'ah stuck to us as our name of all the nation, not just Shevet Yehuda. We're called Yehudim because of Hoda'ah. We are expression of thanks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Mizmor LeTodah also is important. The Ramah writes, Ve'en omrim Mizmor LeTodah, B'Shabbat v'Yom Tov. We don't say Mizmor LeTodah on Shabbat and Yom Tov, or in Chol HaMoed of Pesach, She'en Todah, because Korban Todah would not be brought on those days because of Hametz. Korban Todah has Hametz in it, and on Pesach you cannot bring Hametz. V'lo b'Erev Pesach, you can't do it on Erev Pesach either. Ayin Lekaman Tafkaftet, we'll get to that Siman later. V'lo b'Erev Yom Kippur, you also don't do it in Erev Yom Kippur. And he says in Ashkenaz, the minhag has evolved, says the Ramah, that they don't say it on Pesach, on Erev Pesach, and on Erev Yom Kippur. says the Mishna Berurah, B'Shabbat Yom Tov, she'en Todah krava, because Korban Todah is not brought on Shabbat, Korban Todah is not brought on Yom Tov. Therefore, the tefillah who is supposed to be replacing the korbanot, you also don't say Mizmor Todah, who is coming to fill in, so to speak, for Korban Todah in the time of the Beit HaMikdash. Therefore, you don't say it on those days that we didn't bring Korban Todah. Mishum Chametz, Ki Mattodah hayu srichin lehavi 10 lachmei chametz. With Korban Todah, you brought 30 matzahs and 10 chametz. Right? You brought a lot of Korban Todah, had tremendous amount of food, so to speak, with it, and you only had how much time to eat it? Liyom v'layla echad. Unlike all the other korbanot, which you had a longer time, over here you only had liyom v'layla echad. Why? Why did Hashem make it so short? This way, if you don't finish it, it's going to be trouble, right? It's asur to leave koshim not attended or just be motir to have extras. So what did you have to do? So someone that would shecht korban todah, Hashem says he will respect me also, because the time of it is so short, right? You only basically have to schlep from Beit HaMikdash home until you prepare the korban and you make the kebab or what else it's going to be, right? And you have 40 halot. So what's going to be? You have to invite the whole neighborhood. Invite the whole neighborhood. Say, oh, why are you saying korban todah? Because whatever, I was sick, or I went to the things that you bring korban todah, 4 different items. And nowadays we say gomer because of those things, and so on and so forth. So you publicize HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ness or his kindness with you in a form of seudah. So that hoda'ah, to some extent, is a take on this concept, but nevertheless, that is korban todah, including 10 chalot of chametz. So I can bring on Pesach, I can bring chametz and Pesach. Therefore, we didn't bring korban todah altogether on Pesach. Says the Gemara, says the Mishna Berurah, "Va'asur ligrom lekutashim she'avor lidei srefa, umitam zeh gam ken lo be'erev Yom Kippur." That's why you don't bring it on Yom Kippur also, because when you're going to eat it, you can't have enough time. You are diminishing the time of eating Korban Pesach, because you can't have it at night. Already, you have to stop eating. Yom Kippur's fast starts. Therefore, you can bring umitam zeh gam ken. And because of this very reason, those people who say the parashiot of korbanot that a yachid would do, you should not say it be'erev Yom Kippurim. You don't bring korbanot yachid in erev Yom Kippur. Fine. Says the Mishna Berurah, "Omrim Mizmor Todah gam be'erev Tisha B'av." On erev Tisha B'av you do say it. And also on Tisha B'Av itself, you don't have to not say Mizmor Shel Shabbat on Yom Tov because say, oh, it's not Shabbat. No, you say Mizmor Shel Shabbat, Tov Lo Hashem. That's not a problem. The Gam Yom Tov Nikra Shabbat, because all of the Yamim Tovim also are called Shabbat, right? So therefore, you could say Mizmor Shir the Yom Shabbat, and there's no problem really with that. Now, we can stop here with Hashem and start the next Siman Nun Bet tomorrow morning.